welcome back. I'm Claire Cousins from Textiles East Fair, and I hope you're well. Here in the UK at the moment we're in full winter. The weather today is very grey, and we would call it drizzy. It's the type of weather where the level of moisture, rain, sort of gets into your bones. So it's not a particularly pleasant day, and it's quite dark, so you end up having to have your lights on during the day. So if the colouring on this video seems a bit strange, it's purely because we've got household bulbs lighting up my workroom space. Anyway, it's lovely to see you, even though it is a horrible drizzy wet day here. I hope it's lovely and beautiful where you are. Talk about beautiful, I've been going by my mug, you can probably tell. I'm still working on my toadstools, my magic toadstools, mushrooms. So they're all finished. These are actually all finished, and I showed you that in the last video. And I said to you I wanted to make some kind of base for it, so they look like they're sitting in a dell or something. And initially I thought, well, I'm going to try and find a log. I did find a log in the garden from a tree we had to remove because it was falling down, and I hate to have to remove a tree, but when the tree is so close to the house and it started to rot internally, and of course you have to remove it. So that tree was removed last year, and initially I wanted to have a slice of that, but as I said, weather here is so drizzy, the wood's got too damp now. It got left out, and unfortunately it would take some time for it to dry out for it to slice. So in the end I ended up going to the range. I think I mentioned this later in the film, and I couldn't find what I wanted. Well, I had got them in Hobbycraft, but they weren't, I wasn't happy with them, let's just say that. So I ended up in the range, ended up buying a wooden platter, which I've got here, and I'm going to drill some holes in it to put some dowel in, and I'm going to cover it with like a mossy looking layer. And this is what this video is about. It's about me creating this very textural, let me just bring it to the camera, I don't know if you can see it. It's a very textural mossy layer, and it's a combination of machine embellishing, which is like needle felting, hand embroidery, sewing on buttons, embellishments, not buttons, there's no buttons, but there's beads. It's also a bit of free motion embroidery using dissolvable fabric. It's also a bit of machine embroidery using the thick bobbin technique. So yeah, there's quite a lot going on, and I sort of go through the whole process from how I start it off with just fibres and create it, and then hopefully at the end of this video I will have actually put my whole mushroom ensemble together, and you'll see a final photograph at the end. So it's lovely for you to come and join me again, and come and join me at my desk, and I hope you enjoy watching this video. And if you do, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and do check out the Textiles East Fair website, because this is what this is all about. It's about connecting with fellow textile artists and people who just love creating. And say in Cambridgeshire, not long February, we have a big event, so we look forward to seeing you then. You'll notice that I have got out a machine that I haven't even shown you, I don't think, not on this channel. I used to use it a hell of a lot for a lot of my artwork, and it's brilliant. It's called an embellishing machine. I use it with my walls and fibres. I used to use it for my landscapes. What I'm going to be using it for today is for the mossy base for my mushrooms. I bought a base, I'll show you that in a minute. And what I've got here is just some wall tops from, it was nice batting. It's a pre-blended batting that I bought at the Textile East show. I'm just going to try and turn it into a pre-felt, so I'm giving it a little bit of an embellishing needle. It's basically needle felting, which will turn it into a pre-felt, and then I'm going to add things like scrim also like a cheesecloth to the back of it, a technique that I've seen on, if I can find the link, I'll link you to this lovely lady in Australia who shared this technique, and I thought, do you know what, that's just what I need for my moss. So shout out to that lovely lady. So I'm going to carry on with needle felting this, and as I say, all it is, it's, in my case, it's 5 needles, they're all barbed and they go up and down, and yeah, mash the fibres together. As you can see, it's already forming a fabric. What I've got here is I've got, I initially went to Hobbycraft to get a slice of wood, but I didn't like their slices of wood. They weren't very nice. So I ended up wandering over towards the range, because in King's Lynn, which is not far from us, we've got a whole bank of these big retail places. And there's Hobbycraft, and there's, I know, Curry's, there's all sorts there. And then there's also the range. Now the range is like a home depot store here in the UK. And I got this, it's actually for your cheeses or something, it's to use in the kitchen. And it's acacia wood, a round serving platter. And I got that, as I say, in the range. And the reason why, it's a beautifully hard wood, renowned for its durability. I'm often reluctant to use these beautiful hardwoods because I don't like to think what damage the environment has suffered. I'm going to have to hope it's a sustainable hardwood. Anyway, I haven't cut it at all actually. That piece of fluff, wool fibres, or it's actually a batting that had been blended. I've got that and I felted it, and what I've done is, when it's sort of, can you see how you can fold it? So any loose bits here, I've got a loose bit there, I can fold them in, and I can just neaten up that edge. Like that. What I've also got here, I've got quite a few, I keep my fibres. These are the fibres I pick up at my show. Silk sack, Sandra Beach, all sorts. It's all hand dyed, and some of it's silk, some of it's, this is a Wensleydale, it's probably a Wensleydale fleece that I actually gave Sandra, and she's dyed it, because we've got Wensleydales in the village. The local farm has got Wensleys. So any sort of interesting fleece that I've picked up, I think I picked this up on the Welsh borders, this one, I can actually incorporate that to give it some more texture and depth of colour. So I'm going to do that now. So a bit of this. I'm just putting a little bit of Wensley. What I might do with the Wensley is leave it so it's got some texture, just needle. Let me just show you. So I just laid it on. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just securing it in places because I actually quite like it sticking up. You could needle felt this with a regular needle felting tool, handheld one. Hopefully you can see how that's sort of tufting. You can actually just turn the balance wheel on the end like you would on a sewing machine if you didn't want to use the motor. That's just tufting some bits in. I might leave it for that for now because I'm conscious of the fact that from the back side I probably should have done that first. I want to use some of this muslin because this is, as I say, a technique, and if I can find the link I'll pop it in here. But I'm hoping what it does, it's supposed to pull it, you can just see it. Don't know if you can. It's supposed to give tufts of colour through. Whether my scrim's light enough to do it though. What I might do is put little bits of scrim on the top as well. I quite like the idea of having little bits of that on the top for texture. Hopefully you can see some sort of texture forming there. Yeah, it's coming up quite nice now. Hopefully you can see that. So I'll put some underneath, some on top. I've got a brown version of that as well. I might incorporate a bit of this browny version. Too solid. I might take that off, shred it a bit more. I think what's happened is, and then put that back on. As I say, it's a case of just keep building it up. I'm still not that keen on that. What's good about this needle foot is you can just pull it off what you don't like. So perhaps that isn't what I want on there. Or if I do, perhaps it needs to come from the back. Anyway, I'll keep going and I'll show you what I end up with. What I've found is this brown cheesecloth is worked best from the back. So I have got a piece. I'm going to cut another bit off, and I think the reason why it works better on the back is because it then pops through. So I'm going to pop another little bit just here. I know it looks hideous on the back. On the front it's quite nice. So I'm going to keep building this up. What I'm doing now, I've got some sort of silk. I think it's a silk. It might actually be rayon. No, I'm pretty sure it's silk. It's got a lovely sheen to it. It's a slightly limier colour. So any gaps, I think, looks like it needs a bit of sheen. I'm just applying that too. Doing a little bit at a time. And you can see I've already put some on. Just adding a little bit here and there. I might put another bit just there, another bit just there, and that might be enough. I'm not felting it in too much because I want the textures. Just enough for it just to stay on, because I'm going to be French knots and all sorts to go on yet. So that's that. This fleece is quite nice. What I'm doing is pulling out a lock, and then I'm cutting it in half. And then I'm just needle felting down the middle next to another darker green, so we get a contrast. And by just felting the middle, you can then bring these up as like little tufts of grass. So I'm going to keep adding to that. Okay, so I've got the tufty bits on, I've added my little silk bits, I've added my scrim, all on the needle felting equipment, or the embellisher. I'm now going to do some free motion embroidery, and I'm going to use the upside down method of adding texture, whereby you wind up a thicker thread. In this case it's a rayon. I've put a rayon where I had hand wound it onto a bobbin. I'm going to pop it in there, but I'm not going to put it through its tension. Now it depends on your machine. I can loosen my tension. I've actually got a second bobbin case and I've already loosened the tension, but I'm not going to run it through that one because it's not even for this one, it's too thick. So anyway, I'm going to drop that needle down to pick it up, and then I'm going to run the work where I want to sew is here. Cover on there. Now it's got my dog teeth are already down. I've got my free motion embroidery foot on. If you want to know how to set up for your free motion embroidery, then I'll try and remember to put a little information card up here. So pop that in there. And the first couple of stitches I'm going to do by hand, because then I'm going to cut that thread off here. I don't want to get tangled in my foot, especially not with all these fibres. And then I'm just going to gently do a vermicelli stitch, which is just like a little random squiggle. Make sure my foot's down. I'm going to stop with the needle down, and I'm just going to gently lift underneath, and you can see already I've got beautiful textures going on there. I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to just keep going. Don't know how far I can go. I might go through that middle gap there. You can feel your tufts and just work through the gaps. Again, have a quick look. You can see there's the textures. It's looking good. I don't want to go now, I want to go this way, I think, for this gap. Stopping every now and again to see where I want to go. Still happy. Getting a bit close to a tuft. So I might stop. Move this way a bit. Yeah, no, and keep going along here. And you can see how I've just gone for a little wander. So what I might do is another nice big bit here, and then come through and go off out that way. What I've got here is a form of alginate. It's a fabric that will dissolve in water, so it's a soluble fabric, and the reason I'm going to use this is because I would like to do some sort of almost like 3D sort of moss that's growing into it. So what I've when I was trimming up this part on them, ended up with lots of little trimmets, so I'm just going to add those to this, just randomly trimming them up, because I'll add a little bit of sparkle to what I'm about to do. So I'll pop them down. I could sandwich it between the two layers. I don't know, we'll see how I get on. Okay, so what I've got here then is little bits of organza, little bits of net, all on this alginate fabric. I'm going to keep adding, I might even add some little bits of this muslin actually. I think sometimes it's quite nice to incorporate other bits in. Not sure, might take those bits off. I think I'll see when I get to them. Might add some of the green one. I mean, it might be a good idea if you're going to try this to sandwich this. Another layer of alginate, I'm just going to sew over them and just see how I get on. I'm just doing small, tiny little circles, interlocking so they're touching. Hopefully you can see the textures I've got there, and then we're going to see what that looks like when we dissolve it. So here it is so far. If I show you the back, you can see where holes appeared. I just cut a little bit and put it there just so I could carry on a little bit longer, because holes do appear in this stuff as you're working. Well, this one does anyway. And I'm just going to trim away majority of the waste, because I can always use the trimmets for patches if that happens again. Okay, so I've trimmed that off. I'm going to put it in some boiling hot water from the kettle. Now some of these are hot water dissolved, some of them are cold water dissolved. I couldn't remember because I haven't got a label on my fleece, so I just thought put it in hot water, it's going to dissolve at some point. And you can see, because I've interlocked the little loops, it's all stitched together like a little lace effect. So if I squeeze that out now and unravel it, you can see it's like a lacy effect, and I'm actually pulling it apart a bit because I really do want that lacy effect. And I can cut bits of it off, I can pleat it, I can do all sorts to it now, but I've just got to wait for that to dry. Okay, this is I'm actually using the wooden board now as my embellishment tray. I've got a mix of beads here from a standard bead mix from Jamil. So I've got some of those. I've got some tiny little seed beads. I've got no idea where I got them from, sort of in a very lime green. I've got a slightly bigger size. The problem I have when I buy beads, I never think to take down the size of the packets. And as you can see, there's no markings on the packets when I buy them, so I'm never sure what I've got, to be honest. I tend to just mix and match, and I usually find something works when it works. I've got these glass beads, and I picked these up at a charity shop. They're obviously old necklaces somebody had broken down, and they're quite interesting in so much as that looks almost like, I think it's part of a mussel shell or something that's been dyed. So I've got those to put on. These are from African fabric shop, and they used to come to the Textiles show. So I've got some of those. They almost look like some kind of moss. I could do like a fancy stitch around them. 2 different colours and 2 different sizes. I've got these, like, I can only call them petrol colours. People will know what I mean. When you see petrol in a lake, it goes like a funny petroleum colour. And then I've got some slightly smaller ones. They're Czech. I do know they're from Czechoslovakia. And then I've got like, they're like chips, as in rock chips. I've got a bag full of rock chips, so I can put some chips on. Yeah, so I've got a nice selection. What I've done is I've cut the circle of embroidery I did into little lumps, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create like the fungal fan that you see, like that. And then I'm going to stitch that on in a fan shape. I'm going to have to get back to you because my cat is meowing at me. So what I've done, I've started to sew the beads on. I'm using a regular sewing cotton. Uses it. Wonderful sewing cotton. And I'm going to create like little clusters of beads. So I'm just going to have, and I'm going to have varying sizes. So I'm going to start off with 3 little petroleum ones, and then going to scatter around the next size around it, and I'm going to keep building that up. So I'm going to keep adding the smaller ones. I don't know if you can see what I'm sewing. And I'm going to pick up some other beads as well. I don't know what to go for now. Just it's. I'm just going to keep sewing until I feel I've got a nice little cluster. And then I'll move on to somewhere else. And then when I'm happy with that, I shall take it to the back and knot it off. I've added some beads, as you can see, and I think I'd like some other different types of texture as well going on nearby. So I'm coming up and I'm doing what's called a bullion knot. So you come up and then I go to where I want the knot to go, which is there, and then I go back to where I've come from, and then I'm going to wrap that needle with, I don't know, good 10 to 15, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then because I've got a milliner's needle, it should just slide through without too much fuss, which it has. I'm still keeping it nice and tight here, and I'm pulling it back on itself. I'm gently easing that back through. Then I'm going to go back down the hole, and fingers crossed, yes there it is. I'm hoping it's going to be quite nice and lumpy. There we are. Sometimes you have to wiggle it around a bit to make it how you want it to look. I'm going to carry on adding them. And I'm going to crisscross over each of them as well. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then back down. Still holding it. Keep pulling it up until I've got it how I want it. There we go. Ooh. Hopefully you can see them, although I've gone out of focus. Well, I'm going to carry on with those, and I'll show you how I'm getting on in a bit. Thank you for joining me in the manufacture of my toadstool. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is how it looks now it's finished. If you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget, please give it a thumbs up, share, and click on the subscription for notifications. There's the little bell as well. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye for now.